Welcome to the informational meeting for our new Baptist House of Studies in Richmond, Virginia, Union Presbyterian Seminary's new venture with the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship. Our panel is here to help you learn more about the program's mission and its role in the academic advancement of Baptist theological education. Our host and moderator is the Reverend Jim Somerville, Senior Pastor of First Baptist Church in Richmond. Reverend Somerville, the floor is yours.
Thank you, voiceover. I was going to say, I'm Jim Somerville, pastor of First Baptist Church in Richmond, Virginia, and delighted to be with you tonight on this webinar from Union Presbyterian Seminary. What's a Baptist doing in a webinar from Union Presbyterian Seminary? Well, I'll tell you this, I have history with Presbyterians. My father was a Presbyterian minister, his father before him. In fact, my grandfather, Walter Gray Somerville, graduated from Union Seminary in Richmond, Virginia in 1920, just a little over 100 years ago. And I've sat in that same chapel where he must have sat when he was a student, and it makes me feel the connection between my past and this Presbyterian seminary. I'm feeling more of that connection these days because we're talking about a Baptist House of Studies at Union Presbyterian, and I'm thrilled about that. I was a trustee at the Baptist Theological Seminary at Richmond, which closed just a couple of years ago, leaving Baptist students in the state of Virginia in a fix. Where would they get theological education? Where would they have to go for that? Some people began to say, well, there's a Baptist House of Studies at Duke Divinity School, just down the road, about 3 hours if you want to go there. And I've got nothing against Duke, and I love the Baptist House of Studies there, but I was really hoping we could have something here in Virginia that would meet the theological needs of our students. So how excited I was to begin conversations with Brian Blunt about maybe starting a Baptist house at Union. And Brian was excited about that as well. Brian has some Baptist roots. I've got Presbyterian roots. We could see how this might be the kind of match made in heaven. And so Terry Maples came in on this conversation. Terry is with CBF of Virginia, and a lot of those connections are with prospective students who are looking for a place to get a seminary degree. Where could they go? So that seemed like a natural partnership as well. Erin Burt is here tonight. I'm going to let her introduce herself in a moment, but she is Director of Admissions at Union, and she's the one you're going to need to talk to when we get to the end of this webinar and you realize that the Baptist House of Studies at Union Presbyterian is the place for you. Erin is going to hook you up with everything she has to offer in terms of scholarships and information and accommodation. Thank you, Erin, in advance for all of that you're going to do. I currently serve as a trustee at Union Presbyterian Seminary, and I am the liaison between the trustee board and the advisory council of the Baptist House. So I'm connected to both of these groups and very, very excited about this evening and about those of you who are watching and the kind of interest you might have in what we're doing. We are creating something new and wonderful, something that people will be talking about years from now. Maybe one of you who is watching will graduate from the Baptist House of Studies at Union Presbyterian, and 100 years from now, your grandson will be talking about how it was when you came to Union. Erin, I'm going to let you introduce yourself so everybody will know who you are and make sure they have your phone number and email address so that they can get in touch with you.
Thank you, Reverend Somerville. I am the Director of Admissions on the Richmond campus. I think it's important to know that UPSEM has two campuses, one in Richmond and also one located in Charlotte. I am also a recent alum from Richmond's campus. I received my Master's of Divinity in 2020, which also means that I had the joy of sitting next to some Cooperative Baptist students who joined our seminary in the past few years and have come to appreciate this partnership on a very personal level. So I'm very excited to be able to continue these conversations and learn more about the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship from an admissions perspective as well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Aaron. And Terry Maples, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and your role in all of this?
Thank you, Jim, and good evening, everyone. It's good to be with you. My role is coordinating the work of Cooperative Baptist Fellowship of Virginia. I've been in this role for about 5 years. And CBF Virginia has always had a wonderful partnership with Baptist Theological Seminary. We found some meaningful ways to partner. We had a symbiotic relationship. And so a vacuum was certainly created, as Jim alluded earlier, when BTSR closed. So I am in touch frequently with pastors in the region, and the absence of the school has been felt in a powerful way. So not just from a place where students can go and get theological education, but students have woven their ways into the lives of congregations as staff persons, internships, all those kinds of things. So not only did we lose access to faculty to come and lead events in our congregations, we just felt the impact of no longer having access to good, sound theological education here in Virginia. So we were delighted. Paul Baxley convened a group of pastors back in 2019, I think it was. And that first conversation, it became very clear that these pastors were very motivated to make sure that we had good, sound theological education here in Virginia. And once the conversation moved along, it made a lot of sense once we got into conversation with Dr. Blunt that we would partner in this way, that the Baptist House of Studies would be a really good approach for us. And not only would you get a world-class theological education, but you would also be able to pick up on the distinctives of Baptist while you're in the process. So I am delighted that CBF is involved in this, that CBF Virginia is involved in this, and I'm looking forward to the collaboration as we move along together.
Thank you so much, Terry. Brian Blunt, last but not least, not nearly the least, president of Union Presbyterian Seminary. Talk to us about your interest and excitement in this project.
Thank you very much, Jim. I am delighted to be a part of this initiative, this partnership with the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship, as is the Board of Trustees at Union Presbyterian Seminary and the faculty at the seminary and the students. I think, as Aaron has said, our students have really enjoyed the influx of Cooperative Baptist students who've come to our campus over the last couple of years, and we're looking forward to having the opportunity to welcome many more as they continue to follow God's call into the ministry, various kinds of ministries as they come to seminary for their education and preparation. The relationship between Union and the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship goes back quite some time. Before I arrived as president here in 2007, there is the history of actually the Baptist Theological Seminary at Richmond beginning on the campus at Union Seminary. And that relationship has blossomed into a relationship that developed into a consortium between the Samuel DeWitt Proctor School of Theology at Virginia Union University, the Baptist Theological Seminary at Richmond, and Union Presbyterian Seminary. So the three schools have this wonderful history of partnership in theological education. So now, as we look into the future, the legacy of the Baptist Theological Seminary at Richmond, as we look into its future, when we think about the history and its legacy, we're thinking about continuing that wonderful tradition of theological education that students found at BTSR. As Terry said, we have a wonderful faculty here, one of the strongest theological faculties you'll find at any seminary or divinity school in our country, I'd say in the world. They're just some wonderful people. We have a world-class theological library that you'll find yourself just delighted to be in, to use resources and all of these types of everything you want at your fingertips. And if we can't get it in our library alone, they get it for you very quickly. We also have the opportunity to mingle together on this wonderful quad here in Richmond. And we're looking forward to you becoming a part of a wonderful ecumenical presence. I know the name is Union Presbyterian Seminary, but we have this this wonderful heritage of ecumenicity here. About almost half of our students, about 48%, come from other denominations. And that will change even more as more cooperative Baptist students come into the Baptist House of Studies here. So I'm really excited about the possibilities of having students come and do the theological education that our faculty is delighted to share, but then also to find ways of partnering with Baptist faculty so that Baptist theology and history and polity that will also be a part of the curricular exposure that you'll have while you're here. And then one final thing. We are so delighted to invite you to our seminary. We have a wonderful scholarship program, and one of the things that we're very interested in doing is making sure you don't graduate with debt. So we're going to take care of the tuition and fees as you come as a student here. So we want to make sure you're comfortable in the classroom, and we want to make sure you're comfortable after you graduate from the classroom as you go out into whatever ministry endeavor God calls you into.
Thank you so much, Brian. I've been trying to anticipate some of the questions that our viewers might be asking, and I do want to invite you to ask those questions. Just type them into the box if you have questions about what we're doing at the Baptist House, if you have questions for Aaron, for Jim, for Brian, for Terry, and let us try to give you good answers. One of the questions I'm anticipating is this one, Brian, like this Baptist House, is it an actual house? No, probably not. But it is a way of bringing Baptist students onto the campus of Union Presbyterian Seminary and making sure that they get what they need to do their work in the world. There's a lot of overlap in seminary education. I remember when I went to seminary, I took classes in theology and church history and Greek and tiny little bit of Hebrew, New Testament, Old Testament, all of those things. At Union, it would be the same. Except for Baptist students, there would be a time when you were learning about Baptist history and Baptist polity and what do you need to know to be the pastor of a Baptist church, for example, those particulars. Terry, you may want to say some more about that as well, but under the big umbrella of Union Presbyterian, a place for Baptist students especially to get all that they need to prepare them for a life of ministry, including some scholarship money. Brian, I can't tell you how wonderful it is to know that scholarships would be available for students who are residential on the campus there. I think you said maybe as many as 40 full tuition scholarships. Am I exaggerating?
No, you're not exaggerating. That's we want students to know that they're welcome to apply, and we have plenty of room here at the end. So we want to make sure that they know that there's a place for them, and we want to make sure they understand that we're very concerned that they graduate without debt once they leave the seminary. At least it's as far as the theological debt is concerned from the school. I also want to note that we want to make sure that there are opportunities for students to be in supervised ministry. We have a wonderful supervised ministry program, so students will be able to serve in Baptist churches as they carry through their internships. And I'd also like to note that we will have a dedicated director of the Baptist House who will be making sure that he or she is following the needs and concerns and issues of the Baptist students here and helping them navigate the process of their theological education. So we're committing some good resources to making sure this is a good experience.
Thank you so much, Brian. Now, Aaron, Burt, I'm looking at you, and I know that students are going to be contacting you, these prospective students. They're going to want a custom-made plan for admission. And you can tell them about that. I'm imagining the student is going to call you up and say, I don't know if I want to come to seminary or not. I don't know if I can afford it. Where will I live? Can you provide any kind of overview of what the admission process looks like?
Absolutely. The first thing I'll say to that note is that my contact information is in the chat, but I will repeat it out loud for everyone. My email is admissions@upsem.edu, and my phone number is 804-291-8300. 8314. That's 804-291-8314. So please do not hesitate to reach out. One of the things that I will also add is that people contact me at all different points in their discernment. Maybe you're really clear that you're going to seminary and you're already ready to jump in and discuss degree programs and what your ministry opportunities might look like. Or maybe you're just kind of getting that nudge where you're thinking about seminary, you're not quite sure how to feel about it, and you just want to talk to somebody for the first time. I can be that person in either of those cases. So one of the things that is helpful to know is that Baptist students, it's my understanding, do not necessarily have to have a particular degree in order to be ordained. So we can talk about a variety of different degree programs that UPSEM offers. And we also offer these in combinations where we call them dual degrees. So the primary degree that we offer is a Master of Divinity degree. Another degree is a Master of Arts in Christian Education. And our new degree that will be coming out in fall 2021 is a Master of Arts in Public Theology. One of the things that I've noticed with some of my friends that I met while I was in seminary that are part of the CBF is that they have a strong value for social justice. And I think that that Master's of Arts in Public Theology will be potentially important to a number of our CBF applicants. We also offer advanced degrees like our THM, or Master of Theology, for someone who already has theological education and might want to do a deep dive. And we also offer a DMin degree. Currently, the fall 2021 class will be on our Charlotte campus, but in fall 2022, the DMin program will return to the Richmond campus. So if any of those degree programs strike your attention, let's definitely talk. There's also a lot of conversation to be had about what the lifestyle of a seminarian looks like. Do you want to go to school part-time? Do you want to go to school full-time? In Richmond, most of our students are full-time students. We have residential campus options, so you're able to come and live on our campus. And there's a variety of ways that can look. So say, for example, that you're somewhere in Virginia, and you don't necessarily want to relocate to Richmond permanently, but you might need partial access to our housing. We can talk about that too. So we've been talking about a lot of different options from the academic aspect and also what this looks like from a lifestyle aspect, because in reality, seminary is not just about an academic education. You're joining a faith community. And so it's important to us that all of this really fits together for you, that you're able to get a very holistic experience while you're studying, because oftentimes what you're learning in the classroom is reflected out in the life that you're living outside of the classroom as part of our community and as part of a representation of the UPSEM community and the ministries around the Richmond area.
Thank you so much, Erin. That's really helpful. I was just thinking as you were talking about what it's like to be on the campus there in Richmond. I haven't been to the Charlotte campus yet, though as a trustee, Brian, I hope to get there soon and see how things are in Charlotte. But the Richmond campus is so beautiful in terms of a traditional theological education and a residential campus. You couldn't find a place more beautiful than this. There's a quad where you can play frisbee. There's a dining hall where you can eat, a chapel where you can worship, classrooms where you can study. It's the kind of place where you probably meet and make friends for life. I will just tell you from my own experience, the friends I made in seminary are still my dearest and closest friends. You can't share that kind of adventure without making some friends for life. So, Erin, I'm very excited about those people who might think of residential theological education as an option. And I know that's not for everybody these days. Some people are already working 40 hours a week or more. They're trying to think about how they can squeeze in their theological education. I know you could talk to them about options for that as well. So I hope they've written down your telephone number so that they can call you. Terry, I want to bring you into this conversation a little bit, simply because the Baptist students who might consider the Baptist House at Union are probably connected in some way with the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship. It took me a while to learn how to say that, Cooperative Baptist Fellowship. We're the Baptists who cooperate, in case you're wondering about that. and came out of a long denominational struggle back in the 80s. And it was a struggle between what some people called moderates and conservatives, and others called liberals and fundamentalists. But the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship came out on the moderate side of that whole struggle. And so there are people connected to CBF who would know Terry here in Virginia. You mentioned the name of Paul Baxley, who is our executive coordinator nationally, has offices in Atlanta. And all Baptists who might be watching right now probably know those names and have some experience with the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship. But we have this wide network of connection, and we can pick up those students who might still just be thinking about this. Terry, maybe tell me, don't you do some recruiting or some discerning events for young people in high school and college who are still thinking about what they want to do with their lives?
We absolutely do. I think the signature ministries of CBF Virginia are student ministries. Every year we offer Mission Madness, and every other year we offer an experience where high school students come together, listening and discerning God's call upon their lives. And we believe that everyone is called. Some are called to go to seminary and to serve the local church and to serve in other ways as well. So someone alluded earlier, we have created a great channel for folks to come through our organization. We give them hands-on experience while they're in college. We let them serve in very functional roles and oftentimes preaching for our events. Sometimes this is the first time that a female student gets a chance to hear a woman preach, and we're very delighted about that. And we're delighted about the opportunities presented at UPSim related to that. So yes, we have natural relationships that we build with the churches, with the student ministries, with the student ministers. And we want to utilize those channels in an effective way to make sure that we are bringing folks here to the campus. Now, my vision is here in Virginia, but I also work with what is called the Movement Leadership Team. That's the state and regional folks who work with Cooperative Baptist Fellowship Global. And we are hopeful that many are going to move here to Richmond, Virginia, to take advantage of this wonderful educational experience at UPSim. So I know that they're going to call and talk to you, Aaron, but they can call and talk to us, and we will introduce them to the seminary in general, and more particularly to the House of Studies. And I think it's fair to say at this particular point in time, we are hoping to start classes in the fall of 21. But we are still building this plane, and the job description Dr. Blunt has crafted for a part-time director for this ministry. And once that person is in place, then we will get much clearer about the exact offerings under the House of Studies, and we can begin to promote much more fully what will be offered at UPSim.
Terry, thank you so much. I was remembering my own discernment process. I so much wanted, to hear trumpets in the middle of the night and see a scroll roll down from my bedroom ceiling that said, Jim Somerville, you need to go to seminary. Didn't happen that way. It happened when I visited the seminary that I eventually attended and got to talk to some students there and get a feel for what it was like on campus. So I'm really hoping that prospective students, anybody out there who might feel some interest in pursuing theological education here in Virginia, would come to Union Presbyterian, visit the campus, talk to Erin, let her show them around, and find out what it would really be like to be here. Erin, you wanted to say a word about admission deadlines, right? Are those approaching? Is it time?
So really what I want to say is that if you're sensing the call right now, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We want to talk to you at any time that you're sensing that call. Like Reverend Somerville just pointed out, sometimes it can feel a little bit murky to know whether indeed that sense, that nudge, whether it's strong or whether it's just something that seems somewhat mundane or curious, is really indeed the official call, if you will. I can say that it is. Mine started out fairly slowly and just kind of grew and grew along the way. But I want to add that also we are offering virtual visits. So even at the moment, while we're in the midst of trying to stay socially distant, we do have plenty of ways for you to get a sneak peek at our campus and our campus environment, both in terms of getting to meet some prospective students and or current students and faculty, and also getting to visit classroom spaces so that you can see a little bit about what our education looks like. As far as deadlines go, you will see listed online that the current scholarship deadline is March 1st. Please reach out to me even if that deadline feels like something that is daunting or perhaps unachievable. I really would like to speak with you regardless. We know that we're having this particular event on February 16th and that March is not far off. We will be able to work with you regardless. So please reach out, and I would love to talk about admissions even up to fall 2021.
Erin, just say your telephone number out loud one more time.
Sure. My phone number is 804-291-8314. That's 804-291-8314. And that's actually a number that you can call or text. So say you're just like, I want to go ahead and initiate a conversation, but I can't hop on the phone right now. Just send me a text. We'll find another time.
I hope you wrote that number down and that you'll get in touch with Erin. She's going to be your new best friend in this journey of discernment. Dr. Blunt, you've been at Union Presbyterian since 2007. You've been in Richmond longer than I have, and you have been known for progressive scholarship and courageous leadership. Tell me what makes you most proud about Union Presbyterian. What do you love about this school?
That's a wonderful question. I think I would answer what I think most of the students answer, and that is community. We have a wonderful sense of fellowship on our campus. When I meet with students, and I try to meet with all of the students every year, I talk with the first level, the second level, the third level, the THM students, and the DMin students. I did it virtually this year, and I asked them about their joys and their concerns, so we can take their concerns to the faculty and staff who might be able to deal with those concerns, and then we can also take the joys and celebrations. I ask them continually what they like about the seminary, and what they tell me is that they feel a strong sense that they're cared for, that they're pushed, and they know that's why they're here, to be pushed so that they can come out being the best that they aspire to be, but that they feel nurtured and loved as a part of that process, both by their fellow students and by the faculty and staff. So that's what I'm the most proud of. I want our students to come here and feel like for the 2 or 3 or 4 years, however long they're here, that this is home, and that they have a sense that when they have left, they want to come back and they want to be a part of the ongoing life of the seminary as alums. So for me, community is uppermost in my mind, and I am gratified that it's also uppermost in the minds of our faculty and staff and the student body, and that's what the students celebrate. We've done some faculty searches recently. We're calling a couple of new faculty. And when the prospective faculty members who are interviewing, they ask that question of the students who are on the search committee, because we have students on our search committees for our faculty members. And they asked that question just last week. We had 4 interviews, and everyone asked the students what they liked the most about their experience here. And the 2 students consistently said the community.
Brian, thank you so much. That's a wonderful way to bring this webinar to a close. I know that when the Baptist Theological Seminary at Richmond had to shut its doors a couple of years ago, the thing that people grieved the most was that loss of a sense of place, that sense of community. It had been so important to them. And so this hope that they could find community in a new place is exciting. And to think about those students who may even now be getting ready to call Erin and tell her that they're ready to take the next step. That's exciting to me. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, panelists, and thanks to those of you who were watching. This has been another wonderful webinar from Union Presbyterian Seminary, just to keep you informed about all the good options available to you. Thank you for joining us.